Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Please forgive me. This is the third time I've tried to make this video. Oh, by the way, I've been drinking. The benefit of me drinking and then making a video is the fact that I tell no lies. It's just impossible for me to tell a lie if I've been drinking. Okay, now with all that said, what I'm here to talk about is the War Poet Society Rifle 1, 2, 3 courses. I want to start with the instructors. They were absolutely phenomenal instructors. All three of them have special operations, black ops experience. In other words, they've done what they're training for real. And there's a lot to be taken away from that. All three of them, I really liked all three of the men. I think they're really good men. I think they were very sincere and very honest in what they were doing. And for that reason, again, I really liked them. Now, the course itself, this is not a basic, learn how to use your AR-15. This is how you put in a magazine. This is how you use a safety selector. This is how you charge the gun, yada, yada, yada. That's not what this is. What the three courses, 1, 2, and 3, they build on each other. And the curriculum, the purpose of the way the courses are set up is they build one on to the next. And they are not trying to teach you basic AR-15 safety and this is how you shoot your gun. They are teaching you to be a rifleman. They are teaching you how to use your tool, your AR-15, in a conflict, whatever that conflict might be. So it's a tool. And they're teaching you how to use it, and they're teaching you how to use it under certain circumstances. Day 1 does emphasize the 4 basic principles of safety, and it teaches you some basic positions. However, you still need to know what the safety selector is and how to use it. Now, with that said, the big thing that they emphasize in one are 4 ready positions. Low ready, high ready, over the shoulder, and Sewell. Once they teach you these positions, then you go through actually practicing them to almost ad nauseum. They are going to make you do multiple repetitions of each one of these to make sure that you are on target. So that's some of the basis of what the course is going to be like for you. On day 1, you're going to zero your weapon. You're going to zero your weapon at 50 yards. This is the gun that I use for the entire course. Right here. And it is a 6 Sauer MCX Spear Light 300 blackout with a 9-inch barrel. I'm sorry. I am using a 1X Vortex Spitfire red dot on it. And this is more than a red dot because the reticle actually had circles in it. And I found this to be absolutely amazing for this course. So, to go into another topic, you need a good gun. Most people were using AR-15s in 5.56, 223. I would think I was the only one doing it in 300 blackout with a 9-inch barrel. You need a good optic. And I'm going to talk in a minute more about the optic. And you need a sling. You need a sling that has some bungee factor to it. The only one I have that has a bungee factor to it is the War Poet sling. I'm going to be honest with you. No offense, John, but it isn't my first choice. So I'll put this down now. Anyway, Blue Force gear is supposed to have a good bungee sling, but you need that when you get to Rifle 3. And it has to do with some of the things that Paul will teach you about the use of a sling in Rifle 3. Let's see, what else? Let's go with ammo. No green tip, no armor piercing, nothing close to that. Get standard ball ammunition, full metal jacket, open tip, whatever you want to get, but do not get anything that's armor piercing like green tip. And the big reason why they don't want you to use green tip or anything like that is you're going to be shooting steel. I would say better than 60% of what you're going to be shooting, particularly after you do your initial setups, is going to be on steel. And they don't want you to ruin their steel by shooting it with armor-piercing ammo. So no green tip, don't show up with it. Get regular ball ammo. Range ammo is good. That's what you're going to need. Zero. You are going to do a zero on the course at 50 yards. You're going to do it from the prone. I was pretty impressed with my ability to do a good zero with this particular gun. This is a 1X optic, but I had no problem doing a 50-yard zero with this gun. Almost everybody else, I think almost everybody else, was using 5.56 223. You will be shooting at 100 yards. There's at least 2 courses or 2 sections of the training where you will be shooting from the prone at 100 yards. I was impressed with the fact that at 100 yards prone, I was able to use this gun, which is 300 blackout, with 125 grain Winchester. I was able to put 3 shots in a 3-inch black circle. I thought that was pretty good for the gun I was using, and the optic. Now, with that said, I will tell you right now, if you need magnification, I recommend that you do a 1X red dot and a magnifier. I do not recommend using an LPVO unless you've done some significant training with that LPVO and you're super comfortable with it. The reason why I don't recommend an LPVO is the fact that you are going to do a lot of situational, pull it up, shoot it, pull it up, shoot it, that kind of stuff. And it takes a little bit longer to find your reticle and to see through your sights with an LPVO than it does using a standard red dot or a red dot with a magnifier. So this is my personal choice. Paul's got no problem with you using either, and he's going to train you regardless of what you got. But I personally do not recommend using an LPVO for this course. If you've got a good red dot, that's important, and I would recommend using it. And if you need magnification, use a magnifier. Make sure that both work and work well together. I lost my train of thought. Oh, height over bore. I would recommend before you show up for this course, know your height over bore for your optic. Whatever optic you're going to bring to the class, know what your height over bore is. Here is the reason why I say that. You're going to zero at 50 yards. However, most of your training, I'd say at least 70% of it, is going to be at 5 yards. You are doing close quarter combat type of training, pistol range training. So in order to put 3 rounds into the black circle, the 3-inch black circle, then you need to know what your height over bore is, because you sighted in at 50 yards, now you're shooting at 5. How much over the red dot, or I'm sorry, how much over the black dot do you need to be to put 3 rounds into that space? So you need to, I would recommend, if you can, practice. Get practice with something, sighted in 25 yards, 50 yards, whatever your range allows you to do. And after you do that, go and set your target up for 5 yards so you've got a clue what you're looking at. The Spitfire, this particular optic, I really like, because it has a dot and 2 circles, and the reticle is etched. So if I don't have my red or my green, which this will do both, then I've got the etched reticle, which works just fine. In other words, I don't need a battery. But whatever you use, whether you use a single red dot, you use something that's, an EOTech that's holographic, I highly recommend that you do some practicing. Set it up so that you can sight in at 50, if you can't, 25, and then do some 5-yard shooting so you have some idea what it is. I'd also actually physically measure what your red dot, what your height over bore is, by just, what's the middle of this? What's that? At least you know what it is, okay? So those are the big things. I'm going to look at my notes. Let me see what else I got. The course is physically demanding. I'm 70 years old and I bit off more than I could chew. There's no other way of putting it. And with that said, know what your physical capabilities are. You need to be able to, holding your gun, pointing it at whatever direction you need to point it at, the target preferably, you need to be able to get down on both knees and stand back up without having to take your gun off your target. That's one of the movements you have to do, because you're going to go to kneeling to shoot. You're going to go to sitting to shoot. You're going to do a fetal position to shoot. You're going to do prone. So you really need to be in pretty good physical shape. The other big thing about the course is you need to be able to sprint 100 yards. And I mean a flat out, as fast as you can, run. Now these guys, there were 27 people in the class. When we did things like having to run from, the barricades back to the 100-yard sight or 100-yard prone position, we had a sprint. Well, they sprinted with us. There were 27 of us, so that broke it down to 9 per instructor. Think about this. They're running with you each and every time. If they can do it, God, hopefully you can do it. I couldn't, I'll be honest with you. At 70, I've got bad hips, I got bad knees, and I got a really bad back. So being able to do that was almost impossible. So know what your physical capabilities are before you start doing something like this. It's a very physically demanding course. It's an extremely good course, but it is physically demanding. Equipment. You do not need a battle belt. You do not need a plate carrier. You do not need a chest rig. You need some way to carry 2 30-round magazines plus 1 in the gun, so that you can do the exercises that they're going to do and be able to swap out mags as you need to. If you've got pockets that are big enough and you're comfortable enough using your pockets, good, go for it. However, I used a battle belt. And I used a battle belt because I had 2 mag holders, and that was just the easiest thing for me. Come Rifle 3, we'll talk about that in a minute, but Rifle 3 is the first time and the only time that you will also need to have a handgun. You need to be able to use your handgun. They say to bring 100 rounds for it. That's probably pretty accurate, because you're going to do, your gun runs dry. You need to do transitions. So, those are some of the things that you're going to need a handgun for. I, again, used a battle belt. It was the easiest thing for me with, I had 2 rifle mags. I had 2 pistol mag holders on it, which made it easy for me. Let me take a look at my notes. Let's see what else we got. Oh, knee pads and shoulder pads. Or not shoulder pads, knee pads and elbow pads. Ladies and gentlemen, I highly recommend you have these. You're going to need them. You really are. These knee pads, I am a big 511 fan, and I wear a lot of Tactile Pro pants. And they have pockets in the knees, and these fit in those pockets. They were worth their weight in gold. These are Blackhawk elbow pads, and they were worth their weight in gold, because where we were training in Garrettsville, Ohio, you had pea gravel. So that could get to be a real... it was not comfortable trying to get down in the prone and hold a gun and put your elbows down, because the pea gravel for me was painful. So I highly recommend that you bring these, both these and knee pads. You don't have to use this kind, whatever kind you got. I think Vertex makes a pair of pants that actually has hard knee pads in it. So whatever, but make sure you've got it, because it'll make life a whole lot easier for you if you bring knee pads. Let's see what else I've got on my thing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that seems to be it. Those are the big points that I wanted to make. I do want to say again, the instructors were incredible. All 3 of them have actual experience. They have, heard shots fired in anger. I'm sure they've shot rounds in anger, and they know what they're doing. They not only have done this, actually done the experience of being a rifleman in a combat zone, but they've also all 3 trained people who have to go in and do that. And I really liked all 3 of them. I think they were honest men. I think they were really good men of character, and I would highly recommend this course. But remember, A, it's physically demanding. 2, it's not for a beginner, somebody that just needs to do it. So make sure you've got your stuff together. And the last thing I'll say is, please read the synopsis for each one of the courses. What is expected of you, what is required for equipment, and go from there. So with all that said, I hope you all have a great night. Just to let you know, it is the 2nd of September. It is Labor Day, and hopefully I'll get this posted by tomorrow. I took the course on the 28th, 29th, and 30th of August, 2024. So when you're looking at stuff like this, go based on what the day says. And to all, I wish you all a very good night.